Hello, my name is Zachariah with Old Man Gaming, and welcome back to another 5 Things. Sorry, we took a week off last week. I mean, it is kind of hard to come up with 5 things every week, so I think, like I said, every so often we're just going to have to take a break to let the creative juices get flowing again. But that week off did give us the creative juices we were looking for. I should probably stop saying juices. YouTube's going to flag me, I'm sure. So this week we're doing a fun one. We're doing a little bit of a weird Nintendo one. But before we get into the main line of it, I've got to read the comments from last week. And by last week, I mean 2 weeks ago. The last 5 things we did was 5 things we want to see in Warframe. And it was kind of an interesting video because, as much as I've played that game, I still feel like I'm scratching the surface. Every time I go in, there's something new to see or do. And everybody out there really liked that video, so I did definitely want to share the few comments that we received, especially since I've kind of got a correction here. So, number 1, we got from Kev Too Tall. I can tell you the corporate penny pinching behind the inventory limits being monetized, database size. Every item in your inventory is data on a drive. Exponential space is needed as numbers of players grow. I think a good balance would be to offer the space as paid permanent and free time restricted. If you pay, your whole inventory is forever. If you unlock extra inventory space, anything in the game in the extra space will be lost if you don't log in for, say, 6 months. Your base 30 inventory spot is saved. So he's referring to the inventory thing that I said, which I did not like that they monetized your inventory. Well, I have to stand corrected on this one. I have to stand corrected because I actually found a way that you can earn both inventory slots in Warframes and weapons. All you have to do is grind out your Nightwave stuff. And they give you up to 2 extra inventory slots. I think it's a month or a week that they switch out, as long as you rank up to like level 9, and you can get 1 Warframe slot every time. So, yeah, I stand corrected, and I was wrong. I'd like to apologize to anybody in Warframe that I just hadn't gotten to the Nightwave stuff yet. I hadn't seen it yet, and that's my mistake. And I am completely willing to admit when I am wrong. Then I had Flame Guapa. Hopefully I pronounced your thing right. But plat is free. You have a literal economy system in the game where you can get plat for free. Another problem I had was, the platinum. I mean, this all ties into the inventory system. To which I responded, please explain where you can get platinum for free. I know you can get 50 to start, but I have found no other way in the game. And to kind of paraphrase, basically he explains that there's an in-game market system. Now, I'm not necessarily going to apologize for not including this because the in-game market system is kind of crazy, not really super player forward. It's very easy to get into weird spots, and it's very easy to not find what you're looking for and not be able to sell, and it's kind of a mess. Nonetheless, you can earn platinum from it, from selling your Warframes, selling rare Warframes that have been vaulted. So just want to let everybody know, I get it. Sorry about that. Like I said, that game's huge, and I had only gotten to so much of it. But with that out of the way, let's focus on today's video. Today's video, we are going to take a look at another Nintendo property, because today we are going to evaluate 5 things we want to see in Breath of the Wild 2. So, as I've already said, I always go to the community people, I go to the foundation, I go to the friends, and I try and find out what everybody in the Old Man fam would like to see out of these games, out of these 5 things. It's not just my opinion. I mean, sometimes it is because I'm the only person playing it, but other times, but most of the time I'm trying to get other people's opinions. And we definitely had some weigh-ins here. So, I want to get into this, especially since Breath of the Wild has been a groundbreaking game. I think even people who don't like it can admit that. But it was not without its flaws. Me personally playing it, I definitely noticed a couple of things I really didn't like about the game. So, with that being said, I would love to see Breath of the Wild 2 not just build on what was awesome about the first one, but actually correct some of the small mistakes of the first one as well. And then right before we get into it, just a couple more disclaimers. Number one, and I've said this in a lot of videos, even if I take flack or not, these are all opinions. My opinions, opinions of the community, opinions of the people. Please don't take them to heart or take any offense when I speak on them. They're just opinions. Number two, I do not give these 5 things that I'm going to tell you in any specific order. They're just 5 things, and I just list them as I wrote them down. So it's not like a ranking system or anything. All right, with those things out of the way, let's get into it. Number 1 is weapon crafting / weapon repairing. Okay, so if you've played Breath of the Wild, you have been irritated by one thing and one thing alone. As you wander through this incredibly well hand-built open world, you're going to notice that every weapon you pick up eventually breaks. Not only eventually, but actually relatively fast. They snap, they shatter, they break, and you can never get them back again. You can't repair them. They're just gone. They just don't exist. The only weapon that does not break permanently is the Master Sword, and it has kind of its own system to it, which is fine, but for the most part, any weapon you get can break. Okay, I like some of the basic concept with this, because when you have this kind of like when you have kind of a temporary system with your weapons, you kind of promote people to explore and to constantly keep looting to try and find new weapons. It's an interesting way to look at loot in the aspect that you're not necessarily trying to find the better weapon to throw your old weapon away. You're just constantly trying to find weapons so you have them. With that being said, it is insanely frustrating when your favorite type of weapon gets broken and you don't have another type of that weapon and you can't grab it. Or you're in a boss battle and your weapons just break over and over and over again until you don't have any weapons and you don't know how to get out of it and whatever. It's a frustrating system. And I think there should be some sort of corrections to that. I think they should make like a material crafting system. I think you should be able to find things to allow you to reforge some of your weapons or at least repair weapons. So like if they wanted to really keep that finality of the breaking, you could say, okay, your weapon has a certain amount of durability, but when it's broken, it's gone. But if you repair it before that, you get that durability back. Maybe even if they wanted to even be more severe, they could say, oh, well, it never corrects back to its full, so it always slowly gets lower, and then it will eventually break. Nonetheless, they need to do something with the weapon system, and I think a crafting idea is great. I think going out make it a little bit more about the materials than actually finding the weapons themselves. Although you could always work into it that you have to find the weapon to be able to craft it or in the first place, which would be really awesome too. Then you have this really interesting dynamic system instead of just hoarding swords because they're going to shatter on you over and over again. Now, that one was a joint effort between myself and Neil, a.k.a. Tiny Wizard. He also submitted this next one, which I was not as bothered with, but I think he's right on a lot of his points. And that would be, let's fix the rain system. Now, I know what you're saying. What do you mean the rain system? The weather in this game was awesome. It was beautiful. It was dynamic. It was really cool. It was. However, there was one distinct problem with it. When you have a game where the basis of that game is climbing things, climbing anything in the space that you see, you can climb. That's the whole point of this game. And then you make a weather condition that randomly happens and stays around for about 5 minutes, keep you from doing that. It just kills the game. Now, don't get me wrong. I think it's cool that there's a realistic aspect to this where you can't climb if it's raining, because that kind of makes sense. But you still have to give me something to do, or you have to give me a way to pass the time. What I mean is, okay, so it's raining. I can't climb this mountain yet. I've got to wait for sunlight. Maybe I go quest for some materials, or I go quest for something like this right around this area, and I kill time till the rain stops. That would have a really realistic feel to it. Whereas Right now, it's just kind of like you have to sit at the bottom of the mountain and wait, and that's irritating. Even more so, what they could do is allow you to just camp wherever. Not necessarily save it or set up a waypoint or anything, but just set up a fire and go to sleep, because that would make sense. Hey, I've come to this mountain, I gotta climb it, but I can't climb it in the rain, so I'm gonna sleep off the time. And then you can just sleep for X amount of time, you wake up and it's sunny out. They have to have some sort of system. Like, I like the weather, I like the rain, I would love to even, like, I like the snow, I like all of it. It's just they have to have some sort of system in place so that they don't immediately hit this wall and it's a random time. I can't count the number of times I'm like, I'm going to go do this today, I've got so much time, and I'm about to get there, and then it starts raining. And it's like, I just have to sit here. I just literally have to sit here and wait for the rain to stop. That's not good for the game. Let's go ahead and fix that in the second one. Alright, so these next three are coming directly from me. And I'm going to be honest, a couple of them are kind of pipe dreamy. But, you know, dreamers gotta dream. And I love the idea of speculating about a game that's going to come out and what it could be. Especially with a game like Breath of the Wild, because you're in this weird situation where the world itself exists, you've already explored it. How do you bring that magic of exploring it again without actually presenting a whole new world? So, some of these three things might be ways they're thinking about fixing it. Number three. My number three is one of my biggest problems from the original Breath of the Wild, and that is the complete and total lack of an end game. And I'm not talking about like a games as service end game. I'm talking about when you fight Ganon for the final time, the game ends. It doesn't like put you out in a village and be like, okay, now explore the world, or okay, now find the rest of the Kakarot seeds, or whatever. You fight Ganon, credits roll, game over. That's stupid. I'm sorry, it is. And I hate to be hard on a game that really is a Game of the Year contender, but at the same time, why? Why would you do that? Why would you take so much time on a game to make it all about exploring, all about looking at things and finding things, and then not have even the simplest system in place to allow people who have completed the game to keep exploring? It was so momentum breaking. And I don't know, that bugged me. So I want some kind of end game. And this is kind of a unique 5 things, because the next 5 things are actually going to splinter off that end game and kind of be what I'd like to see out of the end game for 2. Which brings us to number 4. Number 4, another thing that they could do for endgame, another thing that they could do to bring more life, to bring that sense of wonder back, even though you're in a world you've already existed in. Have it be about rebuilding. Have some city building mechanics. Have Link actually trying to rebuild Hyrule by, collecting resources, bringing it back. Almost like the fortress building from Fallout 4, but better. That would be so cool. You could even work in some interesting mechanics to it where he has to do side quests to find merchants and other major characters to bring them into Hyrule Castle to try and revitalize the economy. So it can be more than just about the raw material building of it, but it could actually be about repopulating the city and telling everybody out there, hey, it's safe, come back, let's remake this civilization. That would be so cool, and that would give you an excuse to once again go into this world that you already know and find new stuff, find quests, find other people, try and get people to move in, try and people to trade with you. It would also give you more excuses to go back to the other places, like go see the Garuda, go see the Gorons, because you have to try and open trade relations with them again, try and get them to trust you again. It would be such a cool way to do an end game, and honestly, it was what I was thinking was going to happen at the end of the original Breath of the Wild, when all I got was a black screen saying thank you for playing. So I would love to see that in the second one. I would love to see that somewhere in it, and I think it would make a great fix for the endgame issue. That brings us to the final one, number 5, and this is the biggest pipe dream. I mean, this is the pipe dream of pipe dream. This is me shooting for the moon on a car made out of fairy dust. But still, I want to see it. I want a game like this because of how cool this world is. Give me online multiplayer with unique character creation. I know, never going to happen. But still, hear me out. How cool would it be if at the end of Breath of the Wild, you could then create a character out of one of the races that exists there with some little powers and then explore the world all over again with your friends? God, that would be cool. That would be absolutely the height of cool. That would be the height of cool multiplayer, too. Climbing things, going into shrines, questing things, and all doing it portably on the Switch would be just so cool. Especially if you added in a mechanic like the city building or something like that. What a game that would be. I know, I'm never going to get it. Zelda, they never make them really multiplayer on that level. But still, God, how cool would Breath of the Wild 2 be if once you finish the plot, you got to then create your own character? Like, that was the reward. You got to then create your own character and make your own destiny. And even if they just populated the world with just simple one-off side quests, it would just be so much fun to explore it as your own character, even if the storyline depth in that end game wasn't that great. It would be really worth it, and man, do I hope that we get that one day. Probably not going to be Breath of the Wild 2, but again, fingers and toes are both crossed. So that's it, guys. That's 5 things we want out of Breath of the Wild 2. Did we get them right? Did we get them wrong? Do you want to see something in it? Do you not? Comment below, and I'll read them on our next 5 things. And, thank you for your time, obviously. We do this for you guys every time you listen, every time you click subscribe, every time you click like, hell, every time you click dislike. You give us a chance to live a dream, so we appreciate it. And until the next time, you can reach us on Facebook at OldManGamingDH, on Twitter at OldManGaming9. You can join our Discord. The link is in the description below. You can influence this and all of our shows from there. Please click like, subscribe, turn the bell on. And guys, as long as you guys keep watching and listening, we'll keep making them. We'll see you guys next week.